Welcome to Alan Skorsky Reports. I'm Alan Skorsky. In a world gone mad, a world where our morality and sense of good versus evil has all but disappeared, every so often a hero comes forth. Today, I am honored to meet and introduce such a hero, a public health professional from Washington, D.C., named Nyah Molineaux, who walked into the Politics and Prose bookstore where a Washington Post reporter named Karen Attiah, an unashamed Hamas supporter, was interviewing well-known Israel hater Peter Beinart, who was there to talk about his new book, Being Jewish After the Destruction of Gaza, A Reckoning. During the Q&A, Ms. Molineaux challenged Ms. Attiah over her despicable tweets that supported the October 7th invasion of Israel, the slaughter and rape of innocent victims, and the kidnapping of another 250 civilians, suggesting in her tweet or retweet that Israel had it coming. Nyah, it is an honor to have you on the show today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. The first thing I just want to say, I do not like, I know this week and last week has been very rough. The situation, regardless. I just hope that you're doing okay. You just get therapy or something like that. So I just want to say that first off. I know it's not been an easy couple of weeks. It hasn't been an easy couple of 15 months. So I just want to say that before going into any conversation.
Well, we appreciate it. So, let's back up a little bit. First of all, nobody knows who you are. We saw a video. We saw, you're getting up there and you were very passionate and you're going after that Washington Post reporter. And the first question to everybody's mind is, who is that woman? So if you would give us a little bit background, who are you? What motivated you to go there? Like, how did you know about the event? And what is it? Because you were angry, but good angry for the right reasons. What motivated you and how did you get there?
Like I said, I'm Caribbean American. Before October the 7th, my main issues were be concerned about America, but also be concerned about the Caribbean. Because I said my mother, my late mother is from Jamaica. My father's from Guyana. Also, I have Trini and Bajan heritage. So before October the 7th, when I say I'm Caribbean, I know about curry and jerk and pepper pot before I know about grits. I didn't know about grits until I was like 20. It's not a joke, it's true.
Yeah.
So I didn't really know much about October the 7th. I want to say my mother on September 11th, I lived through that. And so September 11th happened on a Tuesday. My mother stopped walking on a Friday. So I never know if bin Laden was the cause of my mother's illness. And I went to New York for grad school. So when in Lower Manhattan, I used to live in Newark. So when I used to walk from Lower Manhattan going to the Path, and if you know that location, you see the rebuilding of the towers. You're reminded of terrorism every day. You're reminded of terrorism when you go and you see your mother, and they have to switch her over from side to side. So I'm not really a fan of jihadis or terrorism. So it doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter what's in Nigeria. I was very upset with Boko Haram. It doesn't matter what it's in Kenya. It doesn't matter what it's in Trinidad. Because, like, Caribbean, I don't think a lot of people understand. This jihadism is affecting also Africa and the Caribbean. Like, I don't know if you know about Trinidad, but in 1990, there was a coup in Trinidad that a jihadist group took over, murdered 24, destabilized the government in Trinidad. Trinidad is a hotbed of terror. So I mean, it really is big and large. But on October the 7th, I didn't really know much about Israel. I was in a daze. I
Right.
didn't know. I just was very sad. I didn't know anything. I started to listen to Mark Lamont Hill because before then, I didn't know. Like I
Right.
really didn't know. They started to talk about the Nakba, and you don't be concerned about Hamas that much. And literally, I started to side eye your people because I didn't talk to your people because I knew you were in pain, but I started to side eye your people. It's like, what was going on? I started to follow, accounts such as Motaz and whatever. But then one day I was like, my fat ass isn't going into Gaza. I mean, literally, my fatness probably got to me, to my common sense. So I had to listen to this Jewish baker from New York, because I used to live, I was in New York from like 2006 off and on to 2015. So I said, well, I don't know anything. So I had to humble myself and say the messages may be kind of shocking, but what did I know? I didn't know anything. So I had to like listen, and I started to hear about Iran. I said, what? I didn't know anything about Iran. The only thing I know about Iran was like Iran and Iraq war. And there was this movie called Not Without My Daughter, where this woman had her daughter
Yes.
kidnapped. And so I started to learn about, I said, this is, this crazy. And I started to learn about the links and ties to terror. And I was like, oh, this is bigger than what they even say about Palestine. This is a worldwide terror network. And I said, oh, this is bad.
Right.
And because, I started to hear about women being abused. Like, I wanted to say before 10/7, I didn't really know much about Jewish people. All I know is that probably y'all lived in New York.
Hmm. Well, New York is a big state with a lot of Jews. That's true.
I love New York because, like I said, as a Caribbean person, our centers are in New York and Florida. So it's like, oh, you love New York. You're just part of the milieu. I went to a Jewish wedding one time, but I didn't really know much about you. I just assumed, I was in grad school. So I just assumed, well, y'all love New York. I said, okay, fine.
Right.
I really didn't know much. Um, but I started to learn more about it. And it was just very sad. I felt like I was lied to.
That's interesting because you mentioned Mark Lamont Hill. Um, he hates us. I mean,
Of course.
he's really, really bad. Um, and the thing is that amazes me is that you could so easily have been swept up because as you said, you didn't know much about us. So you listen to Mark Lamont Hill, you listen to other people, and you hear stereotypes about Jews. This Palestine, like on all the college campuses, and you could have easily have been swept up in all that, and yet you followed the right path. And again, that takes a lot of courage, and a lot of work on your part because there is a lot of information out there. And there are, of course, a lot of lies about Israel, about Jews. But again, the direction of this country and around the world is, we're not scoring the kind of points that we should be. There shouldn't be any discussion about Hamas or what they want or what the Palestinians want. They support Israel's destruction. They make videos about it. It's in their charter. So, again, so once you start to learn more, what got you so excited? I mean, again, in a good way where you want to challenge someone from the Washington Post. Again, and Peter Beinart, he's a real piece of crap, just so you know.
We in our community, we have something called sellout. I was gonna call him that, but I said it's not my place because I'm not a Jew to call him that. That's y'all place.
Oh, he's
Uh,
worse. Yeah.
yeah, but the thing about it is that they think that they are smarter than they actually are. And when you call them anti-Semitic, you can't do that. You have to pin them down as a left-wing anti-Semite because that will pin them. Because I think to the right-wing anti-Semite, I think the Jews are not white enough for Europe. To the left-wing anti-Semite and to a lot of these people, Jews are too white for the Middle East. They like to undermine terrorist threats against Jews in Israel. And number three, when you find them out, they use the anti-Zionist Jews as Peter Beinart to hide their nonsense. So I said, oh, it took me a while to get there, but I said, oh, you're really not as smart as you think you are. And so it was just terrorism. I don't think that my mind of terrorism should change because the victims happen to be a Jew. Because the first lies, and you have to go like all these like stories. So the first thing to say, well, I thought that what they say, Zionism is a problem. So I said, well, if Zionism is a problem in Israel, then it must be a problem throughout the Middle East. And I said, well, I started to see how Jews were treated in Yemen, how Jews were treated in Iraq, how Jews were treated in Hebron, and how many centuries it goes back.
Mm.
And I said, oh, this is bad. And it kind of pins me. I kind of focus on Mizrahim history because they say you're not native to the Middle East. So I kind of focus on that because to pin you down, because you can't really tell somebody, because I follow Hen Mazik, and you can't really tell somebody
Oh,
who is
sure.
Tunisian or who's Iraqi, they're not really native to the Middle East. Over time, I started to friend people. The majority of the time I talk with an Old Yeshuv Jew. He was born in New York, but his family is from Tiberias. And I talk of a Lebanese Jew. You can't get more. You can't get more native to the Middle East than that.
Right.
So that kind of said, "Oh, you're native to the Middle East. It's a Middle Eastern country." Not to say that I don't think Ashkenazis are it, but I think they use it against you. So I try to focus on the Middle East
Well,
in,
that's
in terms of
amazing.
Jew.
Is any of this motivated? Are you Christian, or are you just not? Doesn't matter, because we do have a lot of Christian friends also who are some of our strongest allies.
I'm an Anglican, but that's not the reason why. I am
Okay.
from a progressive sect of Christianity. I'm an Anglican, but that's not the reason why.
Yeah.
I don't like converting anybody. I don't want to convert anybody. That's I even in my Christian walk, I don't want to convert anybody. That's not the reason why. I think there's only 16 million of you in the world. You're an indigenous population. Thus you should be protected. That is where I am coming from.
Okay. So another question. Do you follow? Like, how did you know about this event to even go there?
Well, I
Yeah.
learned of Twitter and I
Yeah.
saw that she had the event. And I said, oh, the reason why that event it really enrages me is because being Jewish after Gaza, you're like insulting this community like multiple times over. After this community has faced like that nonsense last week in Gaza that I saw was just pure unadulterated nonsense. Just release the bodies.
Right.
You're trying to rebuild Gaza. What do you like? Common sense. This does not make you look good. I saw the coffins. I was like, this is like the 15th circle of hell.
Yeah.
That really like took me over the edge. I'm like,
Right.
how dare you? Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And
Listen.
so
Yeah. No.
when
Go ahead.
I went to see her, I was like, oh, you wrote these tweets. And the thing about it, which is so I said you're responsible for what you retweet and what you don't retweet. They think that Jews are stupid. If there's one thing I know about your people are walking encyclopedias. You keep receipts. So I was like, you retweeted this. You like these tweets. Why did you like these tweets? And why are you thinking that people will not call you out on it? And she was like, oh, because they try to control the questions.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I called her a jihadi because that's what she is.
Right.
I called her a terrorist. And I think that personally, if you have a lack of common sense, like we're in the United States, okay? We're not in other places of the world. If you lack that much common sense to support a terror attack, then I think you need to talk to the authorities and you need to tell them why you like these tweets and why you think it's okay.
Have you tried like reaching out to her before this event? Did you try
No,
reaching out to the Washington Post?
I didn't try to reach out to the Washington Post. Here's the thing about it. I tried reaching out to Joy-Ann Reid because the reason why I talk about Joy-Ann Reid is that me and her, we're both of Guyanese descent.
Right.
Okay, we're both of Caribbean descent. So I try to reach out to her show. I try to reach out to these people. When you try to reach out to these people, they block you. Oh, they do the block real well.
Mm.
Because they feel like I let me tell you something.
Mm.
So many names. The best thing I've been called is a Zio handmaiden.
Okay.
I've been called a sellout. My blackness has been questioned. If there's two things I'm proud about, it's being black and Caribbean. Like
Right.
literally, those are two parts of my identity that I am proud of. Like when I cook for Thanksgiving, like I cook like a good curry goat, rice and peas, cabbage. Like I'm real West Indian.
Right.
Like if I get like real angry, I was, that moment I was really American. When I get normally angry, I get very Caribbean. They really didn't get the full anger from me.
Well, you looked pretty passionate at that book signing. Let me try. Are you at all connected with any other pro-Israel groups?
I know I'm
Um,
connected to her root in DC.
to who?
I went to a conference with them on Monday with Bassam Assid
Oh,
and Nat
sure.
Wealth, SO in Maryland. So she had a conversation.
Right.
Um, the thing about it, when you talk to people in Israeli, you see the depth of things. I told people you start knowing things months before things happen. You start knowing really the depth of like things you never connected. I think about jihadism in Africa and everything because it affects my people directly. You never think about worldwide connections because the thing about the pro-Pali side or most of the pro-Hamas side, they just want you to focus on Gaza all the time.
Right. Right. And you're
But you
aware that
you
that there are no Jews living in Gaza. Gaza has been completely under Arab control since 2005. And before 1967, Egypt controlled it, and there was never a call for a Palestinian state then. So they are focused, their only focus is getting rid of Israel. If there was no Israel, they wouldn't even be fighting for a Palestinian state, because Egypt, Jordan, and Syria would have all conquered that land and grown out their own populations. So this whole Palestinian thing, it's there to be a distraction, but to attack Israel. They are not fighting for their own homeland, because throughout, since 1948, they've been offered their own homeland a dozen times and always rejected it. So
it's just that I followed Ahmed Fuad al-Khatib. Like, there was the Let Gaza Live protest. It's not like Hamas has been treating their own citizens like royalty anyway. But the thing about it, there's no accountability for them. No accountability for their behavior. Everything is on Israel. And and to me, when you're willing to do that, you're pro-Hamas.
Right.
I don't give a damn what you say. And the thing about it in the West is that they don't see. Here's the thing about it. The only thing I did was I asked a question.
Right. But you made your mark, though. You made your mark, and everybody was blown away by it. We could learn from you. Seriously.
I think we can learn. I think we can learn from you as well. Because, I mean, the funny thing is about it. It's kind of funny. Like, I didn't know you like trees a lot.
Right.
Months ago, you had a Jewish Santa. I don't think seriously. I didn't know a lot about the Jewish community. I think we can learn a lot from each other.
Okay. So, Nyah, it's been wonderful having you. I thank you so much for your time. We will be in touch with you, and I do want you to know that you are a real hero to a whole lot of supporters of Israel. So
I just want to say before I go.
Sure.
I just want to say prayers to the Bibas family. I hope that man is taken care of for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a very emotionally trying time for us. And yes, the Bibas family certainly represents a new type of anguish, because they were babies. And we all saw the videos of when the mother clutching her two babies were hauled off on a motorcycle to Gaza. And they kind of say, like, again, that Karen Attiah, whatever her name is, that to them, it's justified. So listen, again, I thank you. Supporters of Israel, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. God bless you and your family. And thank you so much for joining us today.
God bless you.